Hey, remember that time we made fudgesicles out of dog shit and Rory ate one?
Hello, welcome back. It is week 199 on Out on That Line. Hey, that rhymed. I'm Jeff with my co-host Alex, as always. Alex, how you doing this week?
You want it, but you can't have it because I'm too hot for you. But if you roll up, you better roll up with the correct attitude. I am fired up for the 199th edition of this podcast. Big things ahead, big things tonight. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And I just want to point out, it's a thought just occurred to me that we're creeping up here on episode 200, which is going to be our end of the year, our best and worst of the year, the annual extravaganza, where you can find the year's best, the year's worst, the things we thought surprising, the things you thought surprising, as long as you let us know what your favorites of the year are. We've seen some of those comments. We've seen a vote for The Last Dinner Party being album of the year this year. We've seen a vote for Turnpike Troubadours being album of the year this year. So folks, if you want your voice heard, if you want us to, maybe look at something we weren't aware of, you got to let us know. And you do that right down there in the comments. You let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to hear again. And then we go from there. We all move on. We all grow together. We plant the seeds today so we can sit under the shade tomorrow, folks. Does that sound good to you, Alex?
That sounds phenomenal to me. YouTube.com/C/out on that line. If you're not already here, and if you're here and you're not signed up, sign up. Subscribe, click the bell, thumbs up. Like Jeff said, leave a comment. We got that housekeeping out of the way. People should know this by now. It's fine. I'm not that mad about it this week because we got a interesting album to bring us home into the first 200 years of podcasting.
This is, and I also wanted to mention, we've done, so all of these like episodes that we call like track 199, all of these episodes, generally the majority of them are single album episodes, but there are a chunk of them that are double album episodes. So it's just fun to think about the fact that we've done easily well over, probably closer to like 240 or 50 albums on this show.
Something like that. Yeah. And I remember like we used to go for hours. I remember sweating my ass off in the break room at my dad's office. I'm just like Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. You an assassin, Willard? Just like sweating profusely while we talk about Run the Jewels 4. So we've gone from like going for hours, going song by song by song, to the phenomenon you see before you, largely propped up by the Australian economy. We'll take it.
Yeah, I think their dollar's probably better than ours at this point.
Hey man, good day. That's all I'll say.
We're just taking advantage of exchange rates. So we're good. You come here for music, you come here for financial advice. We're not financial advisors, by the way. But we're going to talk about this week is Colter, one of our favorite Canadian songbirds here on the pod. I think the first time we've ever done a full-on like Colter episode. It's certainly been mentioned many, many times. Anytime we talk about someone like a Tyler Childers or Sturgill Simpson, Margot Price, like all these, kind of all go in the same orbit for us. But first, I did want to point out another alum of the pod and quite topical. We did talk about the Grammy nominations. I don't know when that video is going to come out. So make sure you folks check that out too and see what your predictions are for that. And let us know also down in the comments what your Grammy predictions are. What we found was Turnpike Troubadours not nominated for Best Country Album, whichever category, contemporary or traditional, whatever it was, however they defined it, I guess. Charlie Crockett was. So on Instagram, I think Charlie Crockett put out a picture that was captioned or had on the picture something like, I stood out in front of Green Hall, in whatever year it was, trying to sell CDs and tapes and like try to get my name out there. And the band that was playing there that night was Turnpike Troubadours. And he had given his tape, his like demo, to Evan Felker, the lead singer of Turnpike Troubadours, who then listened to it and basically got the Turnpike Troubadours manager started getting Charlie Crockett booked other places. So it kind of like really kickstarted his career for him. So Charlie Crockett then like mentioned that story and then said he is willing to give up his nomination if Turnpike Troubadours can be nominated in his place for that album. Now, I admire the gesture. I do believe that Charlie Crockett deserved every bit of that nomination that he got for this, but noble gesture nonetheless. What are your thoughts on it?
Noble gesture nonetheless, exactly. 100% an earned nom, and it's nice to, I don't know, sometimes the cynical part of me will try to get in there and be like, oh, well, that's pretty good for your publicity if you do this nice like public gesture, and everyone will think like what a nice guy Charlie Crockett is, and you're just going to embarrass Turnpike Troubadours by doing it. That's like a very cynical way of looking at it, is it's like a stunt or something that Charlie Crockett's trying to do to put himself over. But this is one of those like music stories that I think rings very, very genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a gesture. It is a gesture, and it's a great gesture. And ultimately, I think the powers that be in these award ceremonies are going to go, yeah, okay, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
Thanks for making us look like shit, but we actually don't care.
Yeah.
So I just think it's nice that like he tells that story, he makes that known, and like as his profile rises, hopefully that association sticks and we see Turnpike Troubadour get their day sometime, because it was one of the best. The Price of Admission was one of the best albums we listened to this year.
Yes, and that
Cat in the Rain before that was fucking great. You know,
yeah, he, I like My Guy Sturgill is one of my favorite artists. I think as a pure like country songwriter, I think Evan Felker deserves every bit of the flowers that he gets as a songwriter. I think the way he tells stories, the way that the emotion just comes through so purely in all of the songs, and he's got one of those very, I kind of talk about this, like not saying he sings similar to this, but like Beyonce has that very like warm, like well-rounded voice. It seems like it's kind of hitting all the parts of the room, and it just feels like it's kind of wrapping around you. He's got like that kind of voice, a very storyteller's kind of voice. And yeah, spoiler alert, Price of Admission is under heavy consideration for me as one of the best albums of the year. Charlie Crockett, it would be incredible to see him win a Grammy. I can see why he probably doesn't care either way, because kind of a big part of his backstory is that he was always the one that was kind of shunned by the Nashville machine. Everybody knew how good of a songwriter he is, like how unique his voice is. And, he sings in that really, really low register, like the guy we're going to talk about, Colter Wall. But he told stories in a very traditional way, especially on Dollar a Day, on the most recent album. So I would encourage people to go listen to both, especially if you're a country fan. If you're a country fan, you've probably already listened to them. But those two albums really are two of the finest examples of country music songwriting that you could ever ask for. I think either one winning that award would be special. They both deserve it. I don't know that Charlie Crockett needs to be given up his spot for that. Just very nice of him, though.
Yeah, it was a nice neighborly thing to do, and we salute him for that. And it's like, there's other decent stuff. I wasn't crazy about Snipe Hunter. But I so honestly, I would nominate Charlie Crockett over that album.
Yeah, I think I would.
Album, I think.
Yeah, I think I would too. Yeah,
which is interesting because I'm a Tyler Childers guy, and it just something about this one didn't, like, only half of the songs landed, and of those half, only sometimes half of the song landed. And then you look at someone like Charlie Crockett, and it's like, it's not flashy like an Orville Peck, who sometimes I find to be all hat and no cattle.
Yeah.
neither here nor there. You're not like doing like the pageantry and the flash of Orville Peck. You're not trying to be an obnoxious douchebag like Morgan Wallen. You're not trying to, be the crossover appeal. I'm going to stop being one of those people that shits on Jelly Roll.
Mhm.
But like, you know, I saw a great tweet that was like, people who love Jelly Roll, have you never met the night manager of an Applebee's? What is so special to you? And I just think that there's something about like no flash, no adornment, just like rock solid musicianship, simple songs, extraordinary storytelling, putting the whole thing together and not trying to reinvent it. And like Charlie Crockett does a great job with that. We'll talk about Colter Wall and what he does with
Mhm.
that. And then I think like Turnpike is a little something different. Turnpike hits me right here in my creamy center. I
Mhm.
gotta say. So someday it would be great to see them get their flowers. They might have to settle for we don't have a name for our award. The Lineys, the Outies,
Yeah. They'll
the
get they,
Oodles.
they'll have to, yeah, it you could call it hardware, you could call it a trophy, but that would be generous.
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call our awards, that's what they are.
Yeah, that would be the level of generosity that Charlie Crockett was showing, offering to, yeah.
Hey man, shuck them up.
Yeah. Well, what do you say we dive into this Colter Wall?
Yes.
So again, one of our favorite Canadian songbirds. Really, I don't think I'd ever like sat down and listened to an entire Colter Wall album all the way through up to this point. It really, for me, and the album's called Memories and Empties. Forgot to mention that off the top, folks. Sorry. It is, a very short album, 33 minutes. But I think this really fits in well with the other albums we were just talking about, The Dollar a Day, Price of Admission. It really fits in well with that style of country music. Colter Wall had previously done things with Tyler Childers. So like, again, all these things, they're all this big spider web. It's all connected. What sets Colter Wall apart is the voice. I think that's the very first thing everybody hears. What register is that? Bass, baritone? What would you say that is?
Yeah, bass baritone.
Okay. Is it like literally bass baritone? It's not one or the other?
Yeah, because
Okay.
if he was like this, like that's like bass. He can do some higher stuff that just still sounds deeper. So yeah, bass
Yeah.
baritone. That's an
Okay.
actual designation. That's not just
Okay.
bullshit.
Okay. Well, I knew more than I thought I did,
There you
folks.
go.
Look at that. Yeah. So I think this album, so that's kind of what I remember songs like Sleeping on the Blacktop, Kate McCannon, fantastic song, like dark song. It's kind of like from Tyler Childers, Banded Clovis, like that kind of song where it's just like, oh, this took a dark turn. I love, my favorite song is 13 Silver Dollars by Colter Wall. It's just fantastic. It's about him like passing out drunk in a snowbank, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police comes up and arrests him, and he's just like being belligerent and a jerk, but it's not a bad end of the story. Not really dark on that. It was just a fun little ditty. What I found on this is a lot more, I guess, really personal storytelling versus kind of telling a story about like a Kate McCannon or something like that, where he's kind of, I don't want to say third party because he's still talking like first person in those songs, but those are clearly like fictional stories. I think what I really liked about this album is I feel like you got a really good look more at Colter Wall himself than I was used to hearing. Maybe he's got a lot more of that at like deeper cuts in other albums, but since this was my first like full album experience with him, that's what I really appreciated about it.
Yeah, truth be told, for me for a long time, Colter Wall was like this like magical imp that was sprinkled throughout the lore. You know what I mean? Like you encounter Colter Wall incidentally, I think sometimes. Like I haven't seen Landman or Yellowstone, but like I know his music's been in some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And my first exposure honestly was his cover of Marty Robbins' The Big Iron. The big
Mm-hmm.
iron on his hip. And
Yeah.
I was like, this dude is killing this. This is like a great country western story. It's goofy as fuck considering the time period, but it's great. I love that song. And I'm like, oh, he covers The Big Iron. And I'm expecting like some shitty, dusky, like I have never listened to a lick of Morgan Wallen's music
Mhm.
voluntarily or consciously. Truthfully, I cannot tell you what that man sounds like when he's singing. I just find him to be such an abhorrent douchebag that I've never ever listened to him, but I can imagine what his voice sounds like. And I was expecting what I would expect
Mhm.
Morgan Wall. As soon as it started, I'm like, it's gonna be some kind of like, oh, the big one on his hip, and then out of nowhere just comes this like rumbling voice, like from the depths, and
Mhm.
then you're like, damn, who is this like 65-year-old man?
Yeah.
You look and you go, oh, in the year of our Lord 2025, this motherfucker is 30 years old. I got years on this guy, and
Mhm.
he sounds like his voice sounds like it has seen too much, been too many places, and seen way, way, way too much.
Mhm.
It's this whiskey soaked smokehouse, just rumbling voice of a mountain man who's lived for 100 years. And at the same time, he can make that very tender. He can
Mhm.
make that very small and painful. He just has like total control over his instrument. And it's not like, are you classically trained, Colter Wall?
Mhm.
It's just being that in touch with his sound, his voice, what he can do with it. And that's the thing, you never do shit you can't do. So if you can't pull off, your screaming hair metal chorus, don't try sleep
Yeah.
dropping. So ta, ta, ta. I mean, all that is to say, like, I think the not to denigrate the songwriting at all, because we'll get into it and that's great. But I think for me, the most arresting element of his game is his voice.
Yes, and I think so, and that's the fact he can do so many things with it tells me that he's not like affecting that voice. Like he's not intentionally singing that low. Because
It's not a gimmick.
like you can sing that low, but you're going to be like pushing it to do that. Like that's not your normal register way down there, So I think that being his normal register and him having that type of control makes the fact that he can hit what you would call just a regular, I guess, tenor, just kind of like right down the middle, that he can hit that and it sounds so different and it's so dynamic compared to like those really low depths that he gets down to. But I think when it's like when someone whispers, right? You almost lean in a little closer to hear a little better what they're saying. I think him singing the way that he does causes you to do that. You know, the kind of classic country songwriting, I think is like kind of almost best exemplified with My Present Just Gets Past Me. It's just one of those clever kind of like country plays on words. It really it's painful in the way that you expect like a Hank Williams song or a Merle Haggard song to be. What I find most of all when I listen to Colter Wall is like you hear a lot of kind of old school country influences with all the other artists we've talked about. But what I hear really come through is a lot of Merle Haggard, and just that almost the desolation you feel when they're singing about these things. It's like there's so many songs you listen to where like something is lost, but there's hope it might come back. It's like in a lot of these songs, like this is lost and that's it. Like just get over it, buddy. It's done. And I think there not being a happy ending, and especially after this coming like on the heels of us doing the Nebraska album by Springsteen, like that's also I couldn't help making a lot of comparisons to that. It really just puts you in a time and a place, um, as well as anything that I think we've listened to this year. I think it really, I think the length of the album is perfect because it comes off as, these thoughts that he just needed to get out. And that's exactly what it sounds like. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. You have a lot of like really interesting things. Like I love the song 4/4 Time. Living by the Hour is fantastic as well. Um, it just it Living by the Hour gave me vibes of like Life by the Drop by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes, 100%.
And there's so much of that where you can find something to compare it to, but you need to do that work because it's not ripping anything off. It just feels like an evolution while feeling like it's from that time at the same time. It's just I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, and that again, that's like certain artists like Colter Wall, Charlie Crockett have that ability to kind of impose a timelessness and a sense of space and that kind of stuff to characterize their music like that, which is like a wild thing to say about a fucking song. Like you don't think about like, well, the geography of the song. But the truth of the matter is you do like you may not recognize it, but your brain does, your gut does. It stands out. You know when you're listening to AI slop or Chad Chudfucker or Barney Blumpkin on contemporary country radio. Like, sorry, I am gonna judge that shit. Like, they're probably not bad people, but they are fucking Twinkies. They are McDonald's. They are all the other shit we love that's gonna make us fat and rot our teeth. It's got a place in our society, and there for the kind of people that like that thing, it's the kind of thing they like. But what sets Coulter Wall, someone like Coulter Wall, even that someone that doesn't necessarily have the same sound and flavor, but the same ethos. What sets them apart is they have an ethos. They know what ethos means.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you ask, goddamn, put them fucking drag her in, walk her out, or whatever. One of these fucking goons. I don't think they would necessarily have like much of a creative philosophy, and maybe that's me selling them short, but I'll hazard that guess based on the quality of the music. And yeah, you can get like industry to death, but how come these other people with like a talent and a vision are able to shepherd it through? But thank God they can, because I'm glad you drew the really apt comparison to Nebraska, which we just covered, because that's absolutely true. There are moments in here that like feel as intimate as they could have been recorded in the bedroom on the multi-track and just like him and a guitar
Mhm.
isolated out in Colts Neck, New Jersey. You 100% get that sense from some of these songs. I love the way that we'll bring in our friend Poopa Doopa, right? Future nostalgia. This is one of those albums, specifically the song Summer Wages. This is one of those records, shall we say, that makes you nostalgic for something you didn't experience or something that's yet to happen. It makes you nostalgic for the present. Like he's able to do a lot on this album with the idea of nostalgia. Because first of all, it's a 30-year-old guy singing like he's a 65-year-old cowboy. And I don't just mean like the vocal affectation. I mean the shit he's singing about and the way he's singing about it. It's a pretty like wild feat. So within there, he's able to like make us feel a lot. And you get a song like Summer Wages. I'm doing it now. I was grinning when I listened to it. The first verse, never hit 17 when you play against the dealer, for you know that the odds won't ride with you. Never leave your woman alone when your friends are out to steal her. She'll be gambled and gone like summer wages. It paints a perfect picture,
Mhm.
and it does so perfectly. This is the kind of imagery shit that's not trying to do too much and it's not being too vague. It's like specific in such a perfect, unique way where you would listen to that and be like, that's Colter Wall. That couldn't just be anybody that's like that has a personality. This made a big fan out of me where I have to go back and like consume everything because this
Mhm.
this is unique.
I would say, if you haven't heard 13 Silver Dollars, we should do a little reaction video to that after this.
Okay.
Because I think you'd like it a lot. And I think along the lines of just a good image and like pretty funny song, it's getting so that a man can't go into town just to have him a drink. I mean, I'll just point people to the first verse. Well, might get high on a Saturday night and decide to drag my hide to town. I find me a cue, lose a quick game of pool to whoever just might be around. And after I'm done and the evening's funds have been all but knocked back and drunk down, I call my ex-wife, tell her how great my life is, and could she drive me home from town? And it's getting so that a man can't go into town just to have him a drink. Get by the cops and the mule deer, and of course there's you, dear, telling me just what you think. And it's so classic country. It's so Colter Wall, and the way that he sings it, it's just it feels like he can put almost like a twinkle in his voice, like when he's telling you a joke, to make sure that you know that he's telling you a joke. It's just goes back to that control of his voice. It's not just the pitch or like the timbre and like the technical words for it. It's how he can make that voice make you feel.
And another person that comes to mind, another artist that comes to mind with that is Tom Waits, where Tom Waits' whole tradition was based in theatricality, of a very like, like Weimar Republic, lots of rouge and on your nipples, kind of, welcome to the cabaret kind of thing. There was kind of like a sad clown element to it for a while, and he started experimenting more with like rock and jazz and like the avant-garde and stuff like that. But one quality that was always there is like his voice to me sometimes is like a wounded gorilla that's been giving the ability to speak. Some say the one-legged baby. Like, there's always been this wonderful character to Tom Waits' voice, and a really kind of a beautiful way to inflect it and add a lot of like character and emotion, which I think, based on the Colter Wall that I've heard, which is this in its entirety, and then like very specifically Big Iron, there is that difference. There is kind of a wink and a like, Colter's going to tell you a story now, the big iron on his hip, as opposed to, I think, these more like personal stories on this one, like personal without being like, superficially vulnerable and like kind of maudlin about it. Personal in just like a purposeful, honest way. I think I'd love to know more about the stuff that isn't necessarily based on experience. Where do you get some of this imagery? Where do you get some of these characters? Like, again, excuse me, in Summer Wages, in all the beer parlors all down around Main Street, the dreams of the season get all spilled down on the floor, and the big stands of timber waiting there just for falling, and the hookers waiting watchfully standing by the door. It paints you a picture, it gives you the time and the place, and then the way he sings about it, and then these words, it's evocative. You're talking about like the big stands of timber. It's like, so you got this logging crew, and they're like, it's this summer work, and they're just like getting drunk and banging whores the whole time. I'm sure he didn't do that. He's 30 years old. He's been at this music thing for a while. Pretty sure he dropped out of university to do this. Where does he get this? And where does he make that sound like a life that Colter Wall lived? Again, he's like the 100-year-old man.
Same way Springsteen did.
It's an incredible gift, and I'm not trying to like super hype Colter Wall that much. I don't see why I shouldn't, but at the same time, it's not. I don't mean to be like he's done something no one's ever done. It's just gratifying to hear this, because he is a little bit of a, I don't want to say best kept secret, but I mean, he's certainly not a household. He's no Jelly Roll.
Yeah, and it's like you can go to a lot of art museums, you can see a lot of Picassos, but it's always nice to see another one, right? It may not be groundbreaking these days, but it's still nice to see one, and in this case, still nice to hear one. And it really, for me, I think this, now I don't know if this is getting, if this is way up there with the best of the year or anything like that, but I think the appreciation I have most of all for this album is just the attention to detail, the quality of the craft, and wanting to just deliver something that was going to be meaningful. And I think when you can feel that intention through an album, you could cover up a lot of warts with that, like the enthusiasm and passion and everything that can help sell things that maybe otherwise wouldn't have. I think Colter Wall is one of those artists that's just going to do the things he wants to do. I think if the success comes along with that, that's great. He certainly had plenty of it already. I think he's going to continue to have even more. He's just, I think, between him and Charlie Crockett and Turnpike Troubadours, I think Colter embodies what you consider those like really classic old, like the Hank Williams style country, the Merle Haggard style country. Charlie Crockett, I kind of see more as that outlaw country, more of the kind of like Waylon Jennings and Chris Christopherson and that kind of thing, and I think they all have their place in history. And I feel like maybe this generation of country singers and songwriters, your Colter Walls, your Tyler Childers, your Sturgills, your Margot Prices, I'm wondering if we're going to look at this group of people the same way that we look at, Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson and Merle Haggard and all those classic ones.
I mean, I think and if you want to split country and Western, because I know a lot of people are like country and Western music, if you want to make that distinction, that's fine. And I would say that either way, whatever you want to call it, folk, Americana, country and Western, or just fucking distill it down to good old country. It ain't a dirty thing. I think when everyone's young, unless you have like very, very redneck parents, you usually don't like. Country is almost kind of enjoyed as a gimmick, like the song Indian Outlaw, you know what I mean? Like that's an incredibly gimmicky song. Or like I love John Anderson, but you hear like swinging, you would hear a lot of jokey country songs in most contexts. And you kind of, because again, like the mainstream is all, Chuck McFuck, you like that's your exposure to it. So you're like, well, this sucks. And then all the other stuff I've heard is a joke. So country is a genre that is like not to be taken seriously. And then like as you grow up, you're like, actually, it's an insanely uniquely American art form and a uniquely American genre. And it's got its grubby little tentacles in a lot of different musical influence. And everyone's always saying so-and-so make a country album. Wouldn't it be great if so-and-so made a country album? Then Beyonce made one and everyone was a fucking asshole about it. And fuck them, because Cowboy Carter's a fantastic album. And it's just that is part of the ongoing discussion of like the identity of country music. I think it might mean different things to different people, but I think in the end, maybe as woo-woo as this is to say, country is something you feel. And when you feel it, and when you will feel it when you listen to this album. This is a like strong stream it for me. Again, not the buy, but this is a strong, like, well worth your time stream it.
Strong stream,
baby. Power stream.
Healthy stream. I like that. Well, I am gonna put this one at the level of buy it. It really is that good to me. I really like, this is the country music that I prefer, so for me, this is I don't want to say perfect album. Again, I feel like I'm putting it way up there on a pedestal, but like, it's just, there's nothing wrong with it. I guess, I don't know if I'm not going to put it up with Price of Admission, but it's still, I can't have any criticisms of it. I think the storytelling is impeccable. That's what I'll call it. Instead of perfect, I'll call it impeccable. It's unimpeachable. It is a really, really good album, a really good entry point to this style of country music if you folks are looking for one. So I'm going to say, yes, it is a buy it for me. And where else could people find some reviews of those albums we were talking about? Maybe brush up on the things for the end of the year list. Again, a reminder, people, put those in the comments, what you want to see.
There was a lonesome YouTube channel far and far away. They added a bunch of content every Monday or Thursday, and you could come and hear it and see what hot takes they have if you would just go to youtube.com/C/ out on that line.
That was better than like any song that I've sang to my dog.
Do you jock rock around your dogs too? I do that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, they're so Chewy gets them the worst because his name rhymes with a lot. Chewy and Willie definitely get it the worst.
Big Willie style, yep.
Yeah, they because their name rhymes with everything basically, so they definitely catch it. But folks, put those things down in the comments. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you thought of this album. Give it a listen. Get those end of the year picks in. I cannot stress that enough. It's always better when we have some other kind of opinions to muddle around and usually put down. But you may be the rare one that we agree with, and we give you a special shine on the show, folks. So check us out. Until next time.